Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com, and welcome back to another live Q&A. I have a really special guest for you today. We're going to be talking all about raw foods as well as juicing. But before I introduce her to you, I wanted to let anybody who is brand new to these Q&As know how they work. So these happen every Saturday afternoon here on Google+, and they're also broadcast to YouTube. They are recorded so you can watch them later, and you can also listen later on SoundCloud. I do post the links in the YouTube description for you to click so you can just listen to them. They tend to run about an hour depending on how many questions we have, and when you're watching the recordings you can skip forward. If you go to the description fields on YouTube or SoundCloud, you can skip forward to specific sections so you don't have to watch the entire thing if they seem too long. You can even share specific sections if you'd like. Using YouTube, you can link to a specific part of the video, which is really cool. For those of you watching live, it's really amazing because you can interact with us, you can ask us questions, you can respond to things, and you do that all through Google+. In order to interact, you go to google.com/+EcoVeganGal and click on the link, or you can jump right to the link which has been posted on Facebook and Twitter. And then you want to click on the start button with the play symbol, and that'll show you the window with the video as well as the Q&A app, which allows you to ask your questions. And you can submit questions at any point during the broadcast, but we'll be addressing them towards the end. And you can also watch and ask questions using the Google Hangouts app for mobile devices. It's on the iPad, the iPhone, Android devices. Just download it, it's free, and you can join in there. As far as people watching the recording, if you want to ask questions in the future, the way these Q&As work is there's a submission form, and I pull all of the questions and prepare about 5 to answer each week. So if you want one of your questions answered in an upcoming Q&A, you can use the bit.ly link down below. It's bit.ly/EVG Weekly QA. And lastly, there's another really neat way to submit questions, and that's through a free voicemail service called SpeakPipe, which allows you to record a voicemail, a voice recording of your voice, and you can ask your questions that way. I'm not going to be playing any today, but I have a few that are going to be upcoming, and it's so neat. Just be sure to let me know if for some reason you want it to just be for me, or otherwise I will be broadcasting it on these videos for everyone to hear, and it's just a neat way to bring this to another level. And I think that's it for now. I have a few quick announcements for you, and then I'm going to introduce the guest and get into the questions. So first of all, I want to let you know that starting on Monday, September 1st, I'm going to be doing a video every single day in September for what they call Vegan Month of Food, aka Vegan MoFo. This is a very popular thing in the vegan community. Usually people just write articles, but I'm going to be doing short videos. I'm aiming to make all of them under 5 minutes. And the theme is Healthy, Organic, Vegan on a Budget, which is the title of my upcoming ebook. And this way you'll be able to get a little idea of what the book's all about, as well as learn lots of tips about how to eat healthy and organic food on a budget. So stay tuned for that. There's a link in the description field on this video where you can sign up for the newsletter, and the videos will be delivered to you every day in your email inbox, so you won't miss any of them, and then you can catalog them if you want to watch them all at once. And lastly, I wanted to remind anybody who is interested in reading books along with me about the Eco Vegan Gal Book Club. We have our very first discussion of August book, which is the 7-Day Allergy Makeover. And I know it's super last minute, but I encourage everybody to read this. You can watch the discussion. You just have to join the Google Plus group for the book club, which is linked down below. So even if you don't have time to read the book, you can just watch it and hear about it and then read it afterwards. And then you'll be able to find out, or actually vote for, September's book. Together we'll pick a book and we'll read it all together in September and then discuss it at the end of the month. So I hope you sign up for that. All right, with no further ado, I want to introduce today's really special guest. And this is such an amazing person to have on here for multiple levels. I am passionate about raw foods, and I know many of you watching are as well. Even though I'm not 100% raw, I eat try to eat as much raw foods as possible, and I always love learning about it. My history with raw food actually began with our guest today. Her name is Jenny Ross, and she is an incredible chef as well as an author. And back in 2005, she was the one who introduced me to raw foods. I had applied for a job that I found on Craigslist for this vegan cafe in West Hollywood called Taste of the Goddess. And I went in there knowing that it was vegan, but not knowing it was raw. So she was the very first person to explain what raw food meant to me and introduce me to all these incredible raw foods. I went on my first cleanse because of her. I learned so much working for this woman. And even though that cafe isn't there anymore, Jenny has graduated on to do bigger and much better things. She's got an incredible restaurant. There's a few locations in Southern California called 118 Degrees, and she recently opened up an amazing juice bar. So I would love to introduce you to Jenny Ross. And Jenny, if there's anything else that I left out, I would love to hear it.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Whitney. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. You know, it's so fun because I remember the day that Whitney walked into our restaurant. She had so much energy and she was so positive, and I just thought, wow, I'm going to hire this girl. She's got to be part of our team. And so she's obviously gone on to do a lot of incredible things for education, and you know, that's really what it's all about. It's all about sharing how more people can enjoy more fresh living foods in their diet. So that's what we're doing at the restaurants. And just this past week, we also opened a raw bar inside the Wholesome Choice Market down in Laguna Niguel. So we're just busy getting the good word out there, and it's just been so much fun. I'm so grateful to share.
That's awesome. Well, I love watching you grow, and you're always doing so many things. How many books do you have now?
My fourth book will be published and released in January. It's called Healing with Raw Living Foods, and it's all about healing the body through food. And you can take literally any chapter and use it on its own if you're looking to strengthen your form. Maybe you're looking to get some ideas on how you can raise your kids with more raw foods in their diet. We really literally have a chapter in there for just about everything. So that was an awesome project, and between the 4 books, you can really go from A to Z raw food. You know, you can start with the basics in your kitchen with raw basics and go all the way through some really fantastic healing programs. So we're very excited about this new release.
That's so cool. Well, I love that you're always educating people on this and encouraging them to eat raw, and thank you for educating me from the very beginning. I will never forget that. Before we jump into some really juicy questions, pun intended, today, I have some really amazing questions that people have submitted that I think Jenny is going to be the perfect person to answer. But before we do that, the other great thing about having Jenny on today is she can help me talk about this product that I've been wanting to feature called the Green Star Juicer, which is sitting behind me today. The company sent this over to me to try, and I wanted to tell you about my experience. And the really cool thing is that Jenny also works with this company, and she's done multiple videos demoing this juicer. So what's cool is when you buy this juicer, you actually get links to all these videos that Jenny has done with this company, and she gives you recipes and all of that. So it's perfect that you're on today. So this is called the Green Star Elite Juice Extractor. And it's a pretty heavy-duty one. I don't know if I would say that this would be something, this specific model is for everyone necessarily. It tends to be on the pricier side. This is for like a super serious juicer like myself, somebody that really wants to get the most bang for their buck. But when we turn it over to Jenny in a moment, I would love to know, because I'm not incredibly familiar with the brand outside of this specific juicer, but I'm imagining that they have less expensive models and different models available for people. But to speak about this one specifically, this one is designed for fruits and vegetables and to do things like wheatgrass. But what's cool about what separates this from a lot of juicers, I should say, and what you're really paying for is the fact that it can extract more juice from a lot of more juice than a lot of juicers would. Plus, it can do things like make breadsticks. There's recipes in the book that they send you, which has raw breadstick recipes, as well as I believe you can do cooked breadstick recipes in here. You can do nut butters. I believe you can do pastas as well, sorbets, all sorts of things. It has these jumbo twin gears in it that are super serious. I've had a masticating juicer for years, and this thing blows it out of the water. Mine has just one gear in it. This one has these two, I think, stainless steel gears, and they just pull everything out of it. It also has this cool knob on it. Should really be bringing this closer. It has a cool knob that allows you to control the way that it brings out the juice, and it can also be turned one way to process soft juices versus harder fruits and vegetables. I mean, soft fruits versus harder fruits and vegetables. It's got all these different functionalities with it. So when you pay for an expensive juicer like this, you're really getting a lot. And I think probably the hugest selling point for me on this thing is that it can extract so much. A lot of the less expensive juicers have produced less juice than you would get, so you're not getting all of it unless you're kind of wasting a little bit of money each time you use them. And lastly, the nice thing about a juicer like this, and this goes for the other juicer that I have, I find that a lot of juicers that look like this as opposed to the type that sit upright, is that they're designed to move really slowly. They have a slower RPM, which means that there's less heat involved, and thus your juice retains the enzymes and the vitamins and all the nutrients in it. So again, when you pay for a high-quality juicer like this, it's an investment that's going to give you more bang for your buck. And that's why I would say it might be worth it. And it also comes with all sorts of things, like I said. Like, you can make so many different things. It has different screens on it, so you can have more pulp or less pulp, and there's a lot going on with it. And I would love to hear, Jenny, what your experience has been. Like, why did you decide to work with this brand?
Well, I love this juicer for a lot of reasons. It was such a fun project to do the videos for this juicer because the flavor and the quality of the juice that comes out of this juicer is so much greater than a traditional standard upright juicer that is going to be masticating and spinning, right, pulling oxygen into the juice. This juicer, when you use it, not only is it quiet, so it's actually really peaceful juicing experience. Yep. It also gives you, I think it's 20% more juice, at least, depending on the fruits and vegetables that you're juicing. The thing that I love about it is that, this juicer, you can juice in it today, let's say, it's Saturday, and you can store those juices in a mason jar until Monday. You can really get 2 to 3, sometimes 4 days where it's still very active in enzymes, which is the whole point of getting these vitamin mineral juices in the body. And that is largely because of the twin gears. So the twin gears extract the juice by masticating it slowly over and over again. And inside those gears are actually magnets that are part of the functionality, and that actually helps to structure the juice molecule so that it lasts longer. So all of the little intricacies in this particular juicer, they're all hidden in there so well. And the beauty of it is that they work together to really create this beautiful juice. So I'm a mom of 2, and I don't always have time to get the juicer out, do all the cleaning and all of that. So when I juice for 2-3 days at a time at least, and enough juice so that my kids can grab from it. It also has a safety feature on the top where if the top portion of it is removed, it won't turn on.
Oh, cool.
Having the hands in the kitchen and having this around, I know that my kids are going to be safe. They're not going to get anywhere near where the blades are. And so that, for me as a mom, has been a big selling feature for this particular juicer. And then, of course, we work with a lot of clients that are trying to heal their body, so they're juicing for the higher vitamins and minerals so that they can support their immune system. And so this juicer does a great job of doing that. And, really, besides a Norwalk juicer, which is going to be 100%, masticated press, this is really the only other option on the market that is really viable when you're doing juicing as a healing regimen like that. So I love it because I think it has a place in every kitchen. It lasts forever. It's got a great warranty. I've been using mine now, I think, over 8 years, a long time, and it's great. I mean, it's been part of our family.
Yeah.
And it's easy to clean. So
you've been using it long before you even started working with the company, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and the thing about this particular juicer is, my first juicing experience when I learned about raw foods was with the Champion juicer.
Yep.
So that's a single blade auger, but it's similar structure. So this was really familiar to me, even actually more familiar than a centrifugal juicer. So when I first saw it, I thought, oh, okay, what is that all about? And then I learned about the twin gears and all the upgrades, and that made a lot of sense to me. So since juicing is a big part of our lives, especially with the kids, it's been a great way to make sure that we always have it as an option in our home.
Yeah, I love that. I know so many people are busy, whether or not they have a family, being able to juice, so knowing that it's going to stay fresh and that you're not losing a ton of the enzymes and vitamins, which is a concern for some people. Have you also used it to make some of the different items in it, like the sorbets and the breadsticks and the nut butters?
Yeah, we have a great video doing an olive tapenade with this particular machine, and then prepping for a gelato mixture, and the breadsticks even. And, you know, it's just fun to think that this one machine can do so many different things. So a good case in point, I had my niece and nephew over recently, and we had some frozen bananas in the fridge, and I said, okay, we're going to make banana sorbet, and they're like, oh, okay, Auntie Jenny, you know, and they're expecting me, I don't know what they were expecting, but I got the juicer out. I get the frozen bananas out, and now suddenly they can actually do it themselves. So they're putting it through, they're watching it come out the other side, and then of course we get it out, and we're adding hemp seeds and strawberries and, you know, goji berries to it, and they have this beautiful superfood sorbet, which they made entirely themselves from frozen bananas and fruit. And it was just, without this in our kitchen, that would have never been an opportunity. We would have had to go buy something somewhere else, and we wouldn't have had that available. It also introduced them to this idea that healthy food can be really fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about TriBest and actually all of their products, specifically the Green Star juicer, and they also manufacture my favorite dehydrator, the Sedona dehydrator. And so, I mean, they make products that make living this lifestyle easy and enjoyable. So
that's cool. Well, now you got me even more excited to use this. You know, now I want to go get a bunch of produce and put it in here.
We'd have an ice cream party at your house with.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's jump into the questions. I'm so excited to address these today. So the first one comes from Eric, and as a reminder to anybody who just tuned in and is watching live, you can ask your questions at any point, and they get put into a queue, and then I'll check them out towards the end of this, and that's over at google.com/+EcoVeganGal. If you ask on the event page or on YouTube, I'm not able to see the questions. You have to ask in what's called the Q&A app. So you have to actually hit the play button and look for the Q&A app on the side in order to participate with this. If you ask questions in the other sections, I can get to them another time, but just not in the specific video. But the questions we're going to be answering today are from people that have submitted in the past. And the very first one comes from Eric, who asks, what are your feelings on fermented foods in the raw diet? What are your feelings on the raw till 4 diet as well? If one is incorporating small amounts of cooked foods, what are your favorites and why?
Well, I guess we'll start with the fermented foods question. Fermented foods are an important part of living foods, diets, and lifestyles. I think mostly because of the additional enzymes and healing ability that they create, or opportunities they create. You know, a lot of times people, when they read books about raw and living foods, they think that fermented foods are a have to, you know, it has to be part of my diet. And I think they get a little bit nervous because the idea of creating fermented foods or sourcing some locally that someone else has prepared might be a little bit daunting. And so it's really to understand that fermented foods are a functional part of the diet or lifestyle, no matter what your diet and lifestyle is. So for me, I learned about living foods as a result of a health crisis, and I had a lot of issues with digestion. So fermented foods were a big part of my healing process. Because of the extra enzymes and acids in the fermented foods, I could actually absorb more nutrients when I enjoyed fermented foods with my meals. And so once I learned about that and understood about that, it was really through the work of Donna Gates that I learned and understood about fermented foods and their healing ability. I was able to try and use them in different ways. And so I think that depending on where you are and what's going on with your body, they could be a huge healing opportunity for you. or they could just be something that's a fun additive, right? They have a lot of flavor. I love adding, raw sauerkrauts to my tacos and things like that. It makes a really fun kick of, usually salty. Sometimes we get some herbs in there. And so depending on what you're looking at it for, I think you have a few different opportunities to enjoy them in a way that's supportive of your health. It's not a have-to, so if you're someone who's enjoying a great raw foods diet and you're not thinking of fermented foods, that's fine too. It's not a necessity, but the whole process of fermentation is natural and it's been around for so many years. It's used in so many cultures that it's something that we really should be taking a closer look at, I think, here in the US. And I notice when I travel a lot to Japan to teach raw foods, they do a lot of fermented foods in Japan. And part of it is this process of, helping the body restore naturally. So they may not actually categorize it as a raw food as much as they categorize it as a health and healing food. So it's something to think of. And I think every refrigerator needs something fun in there. And, I'm drinking a kombucha right now, case in point.
You're the one, I think, who introduced me to kombucha too, which is nuts because I'm obsessed with kombucha. You're responsible for it all, Jenny.
But you know what? It's so fun because, what was that, several years ago, right? And now you can really find, I walked into, I think, a Smart and Final over the weekend in downtown LA, and they had GT's kombucha there. And I thought, wow, we've really evolved in the last 10 years,
Oh, yeah.
So it's exciting.
Goddess was probably one of the only places you can get it back then.
Yeah, we had the hookup for the mango kombucha over there.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time because these products are a lot more widely accessible. So you really can, if you're thinking about adding some fermented foods, you can go down to Whole Foods or Mother's Market, grab a bag of kraut, from the refrigerated section. Make sure that you check that it's got some probiotics in it. Sometimes things will be labeled as fermented, but they don't actually have additional probiotics, so you want to look at that. And find one that looks like it tastes good to you and add it to your next snack and see how you feel about it.
Now, what do you think about the raw till 4 diet? Do you know much about that?
Yeah, so do you want to give a little synopsis on what raw till 4 diet is?
Yeah, tell it people. I bet a lot of people don't know because I'm not sure because I just recently kind of learned about it, and I don't know if this is a relatively new thing or it's just kind of catching up more in the media.
Well, I think that raw till 4 makes the idea of doing more raw foods simpler for a lot of people. So when I first came to Raw and Living Foods, there was this funny conversation that would go on at potlucks and things like that. It'd be like, well, how raw are you? Okay, if you're 60%, what is the 40% that's not? A lot of conversation like that. And I think raw till 4 is a natural solution to that conversation. The idea is that, when the sun is up and you're moving and you're, very active, the most fitting and supportive food really is raw food for the body at that point. And then as the body begins to wind down, you get closer to the end of the day, that's when it is a little bit more natural to add in maybe denser foods or more cooked foods, things like that. And so I think a lot of people are looking at, well, how can we get it in and how do I quantify it in a way that makes it easy for me to do? So that's really what Raw till 4 is all about. It's okay, I can commit to doing all plant-based living foods till 4 p.m. And then once I go past that, then maybe whole plant-based foods, as long as they're cooked in some sort of natural way, these are going to be my obvious next choices. So I really feel that everybody is individual. And I know for me, I like to do living foods all day and all night, and that works for me. I have clients that are great with breakfast, great with lunch, and they want to have a cooked dinner, and that works great for them. So it really depends on the reason you're approaching raw foods in the first place. Why are you interested in raw foods? And then also, what is your goal with it all? And we all change so much. So I think the raw till 4 diet's a really natural approach to enjoying more raw foods in the diet. And if it makes it easier for you to say, okay, I can do breakfast and lunch, and then I'll worry about dinner a different way, then that's great, because that's what? If you're going back to the percentage conversation, at least 60% raw foods in your diet. That's a fantastic way to be really specific about preventing health issues in your body. So
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I think it's great, and it definitely takes off the pressure for people that want to eat raw foods but also want to eat cooked foods, and it helps you kind of have that structure in your life if that's beneficial to you.
Hmm.
So the next question comes from Juliana, who asked, what percentage of fat do you consume per day? I know it's important to keep fat low, but the only number I've heard from vegans is the raw 80-10-10 diet. I think my daily fat intake is around 20 to 25%. And I'm
Right.
curious to hear from you specifically, Jenny, because I know that you use nuts, you use various fats in your foods, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you just do that at the restaurant or if that's how you eat personally. But
Right.
80-10-10 has been such a popular facet of the raw foods diet, so I would love to hear what your personal opinion is.
Okay, so this is, let me preface it by saying this is very much opinion based, okay, and also based a lot on what I've seen, being in the raw foods community for 15 years and working with people one-on-one for 12 years, trying to really upgrade their diets. The concern that I have about 80-10-10 is it is pretty extreme. It's especially for women who have a reproductive system that has very specific needs, and knowing that the brain feeds off of fats specifically. I have a lot of concern with just pigeonholing fat intake to 10%, especially women, especially people with developing brains, or people who are trying to really, do something where you have to have your brain on and functioning. And so it's very easy to get off balance, I believe, on an 80-10-10 diet. So it's really all about that balance. And fat provides an essential part to balancing your whole body chemistry. Um, so what we see and what I've seen to be very successful with people is just to make sure that you keep balance overall. So you may have one meal where the fat percentage of that meal is above 20%, and then you may have another meal where you actually have no fats in that meal. And that balances out to around, 15 to 20% for your day. That seems to be a good amount. I mean, at 118, we'll just use a plate there as an example. We use 80% fresh fruits and vegetables to 20% fats and seeds and things like that. Our goal is to be an everyday raw opportunity. So you may go to beautiful raw restaurants that have incredible gourmet presentations, but that meal might be 80% fat, 90% fat, like between all the different nuts and seeds, right? And so you really have to take a look at that. That's not something that you can do every day. I haven't seen that to be something that people can do for longevity. And at the end of the day, that's why I'm doing raw food. I want to eat well, I want to feel well, I want to be well. So, I need to make sure that I'm keeping the balance. So I think that's the bigger conversation in raw foods in general, is what is going to keep you in balance. And that is going to be different for different times of your life. I have had 2 kids going through, pregnancy and childbirthing and postpartum on a raw food diet. There were things that I needed different amounts of at different times, especially when my kids were breastfeeding. I needed a lot more fat in my diet, maybe 30-35%, because they were just sucking all the life out of me, which is the point. You're supposed to really give them all those nutrients. So you have to look at where you're at and what you're doing, and that is a really individual approach. So I think the concept here that I'm hoping that people can kind of take away is that, balance for one person is going to be different than balance to another person. But at the end of the day, if you look at the raw food pyramid, for example, and we are publishing a lovely one in this next book that's very easy to look at, and you look at all the different categories, well, the foundational category is fruits and vegetables. That does need to be 70 to 80% of your diet need to be fresh fruits and vegetables and in variety. And then as you tailor up from there, it's high mineral dense things like sea vegetables, herbs, and spices, and then, of course, the fats and proteins. So you want to package all of those things together in a way that your body can really absorb the nutrients. And so when you have real high fat recipes, they may taste great, but they may not necessarily give you all the vitamins and minerals your body needs. And vice versa. If you do all fruits and veggies, you might not be getting the building blocks of protein for your brain and for your muscular structure and everything like that. So I think you really have to go deeper into the science of what's healthy for a human overall. And so we may see, oh, okay, this guy gets great results on 80-10-10. Well, if he has a perfectly functioning adrenal system, sure. And if he lives in Costa Rica, Maybe. But if you put him in the middle of downtown LA with all the stress and the toxins and everything else, he's going to need possibly some more balance than what 80-10-10 can provide. So you kind of have to look at, where are you? What is your goal? Again, where are you trying to get with all of this? And if you're eating, 20% fat and you feel great and you're experiencing vibrant health, then that should say, hey, look, this is a balance that works for me. And if you're feeling out of balance, it's very simple. You can just get blood work done and take a look at it. Partner with an integrative health practitioner and say, okay, what are my levels showing in my blood? It's very basic. It's all right there. It's not too emotional when it comes to that piece of it. So
yeah, especially when it comes to the blood work, which I've talked about a few times on these Q&As, and how important it is to get your blood checked out, because bio-individuality is so important. And I really encourage people to figure out what works best for them, just like you just said. And I think that perspective is so great, especially given that there's so much talk around 80-10-10 right now, and I think people feel confused about it, or maybe pressured into it, or they don't really understand it. And I think exactly what you said, taking that step back to see what's going on with your blood, what's going on with your body, what stage of your life are you in, all of these different aspects to figure out if it works best for you. Mm-hmm. And I just love that perspective. Mm-hmm. The next question comes from Becca, who said, I want to transition to raw vegan. When I previously tried to do this, I became very lethargic and lost weight at an accelerated rate. How would you recommend adding more raw foods into a vegan diet without causing systemic imbalance or vitamin deficiency? It's a great question to transition from what we were just talking about.
Yeah, I think you have two really great tools when you're in transition of any kind. So whether you're going from a vegan diet to a more raw vegan diet, from a standard American diet to a vegan diet, you have to look at, again, the balance. What am I having every day? I love Dr. Mark Hyman because he always speaks about health being cumulative. So if you look at your cumulative health and you say, okay, I'm doing great today, and tomorrow I have this, and Wednesday was not a good day, you can always make a U-turn, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, finish up the week with something healthy. And so I feel like that when you're making this transition between a more vegan, vegetarian, and raw diet, you should actually feel better, because you're getting more nutrient density in every bite. You are enjoying food that has more natural water content, right? All the enzymes and all of this. So if you're feeling lethargic when you make that shift, then we have to look at what is it that you're enjoying. Maybe you're not getting enough protein. Maybe you're not getting enough fat. You have to go back to what are the building blocks for life. That's the same no matter what diet you're on. So you have to take a look and say, okay, did I fulfill this requirement for today? Oh, maybe I didn't. So maybe I can now add 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds to my next meal and enjoy a little bit more there. Also, it's natural during any sort of transition to detoxify a little bit. Detox is something that's important to just be aware of, because if you're starting to detoxify negative things from your tissues and it's coming out through the blood, it's also taking out important minerals. So usually during any time of transition, I always recommend my clients mineralize and take supplements that are high in minerals. It's usually that when they're going through that process that makes them tired, that makes them feel weak. So what I always recommend is every morning get up, a teaspoon of spirulina in water with a little lemon juice to cut the taste, or get your Green Star out and do some green juice, but something green, really green. Like a spirulina, is going to give you minerals that your blood can absorb naturally without having to go through the digestive tract. And that's one example of a supplement that I always recommend during a time of transition. You might not do that every day for the next 10 years after you transition, but maybe for 2 months it's something that keeps you balanced. And I'm not really a huge fan of supplementation as a whole, but for different times, different things are important. So the spirulina is a great one. Chia seeds are fantastic. Drop them in some water, put them in your salads, add them to your smoothies because they are high in omegas. So that's going to stimulate the brain. And then hemp seeds I like because you can add those to anything. And the flavor is nice. So, people won't leave them out because the flavor is an issue. So you can throw them right into your kale salad, mash them up into guacamole, things like that. It's a great protein source. So you can take those 3 things and make sure you get them in every day along with a balanced diet, and you should be okay. You're going to have a few days of adjustment, But if you're doing it long term, like Becca was mentioning, right, that, she dropped weight really fast, to keep the weight on, you really want to make sure that you're getting that balance in. So.
Great. That's such good advice, and I love that part about the spirulina,
Yeah.
because sometimes I just don't want to make juice in the morning, and I've got, when I do get into the habit of making juice every morning, it is so great. Or like you said, with the juicer like this, where you can make it and then have it, maybe twice a week or something, and then have it in mason jars. I love that. I should really start doing that. But I
Yeah.
love the spirulina thing, because I have a bag of spirulina in my fridge, and that sounds so good, just having a little bit of it in the morning. And why not mix it with the chia seeds as well, or even blend it with some hemp seeds and make yourself a little superfood drink in the morning? I love that concept. You kind of already answered the next question, but just in case you have anything else you want to add to it, Vive said, I'm not sure I want to go all raw because it seems a little excessive to me, although I've heard many great health benefits, many of which you just mentioned. Have you experienced detox symptoms from going vegetarian to vegan? I've been eating mostly raw, probably 70 to 80%, and having major detox symptoms. So perhaps you've already addressed the fact that yes, you can experience detox symptoms when you change from vegetarian to vegan, from vegan to raw vegan, whatever you're doing there. Maybe you can address like any way to handle the detox symptoms, or certain foods that might give you more or less detox symptoms, or anything along those lines.
Yeah, again, going back to the mineralization being really important, and getting the green in every day, making sure you're getting a good source of greens. The chlorophyll and the protein in the greens, again, our body uses that very easily, faster, and absorbs more than what we would get from nuts and seeds and things like that. So I think it's very easy for people to overlook the greens, because maybe a giant salad isn't your first thought. You'd rather have maybe the raw apple cobbler or something like that, so the two are very important together, and so I think the first thing is making sure that you get enough of those essentials in, those staples in. So one thing that I really recommend for people when they're in that space also, that I should add, is coconut, because the brain uses the coconut so much. So if we sort of think of a top-down approach, right? If you stimulate your brain and your brain is working right and well, you start to feel better. You make easier, better decisions when it comes to food. It's easier to integrate then and also take a look around and intuitively say, oh, you know what? I need a kale salad right now, or I'm going to have, a great avocado flatbread right now, and those are going to be my choices. But when you're the other way around, when the brain is searching, right, and you're in detox and you can't focus, it's a lot harder to do that. So what I recommend for people when they wake up is that that's really the most critical time of the day to set your body up. And so a lot of us, myself included, I'll run out the door and I won't have anything to eat, and then suddenly it's 11 o'clock and I'm just like in a tailspin. What am I going to do? And the reality is I should have gotten up. I should have had my spirulina, some coconut oil, blended up with a little hemp seeds, and enjoyed that on my way out the door. That would have been fast. I could have committed 3 minutes to that moment, had that, and then been out the door and feeling great. And then, of course, when I get to work now, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I need right now. And you can really go through your day setting it up that way. The other thing that I really recommend, if you know you're going to be making transition, is to pre-plan. Have a 3 to 4 hour window. Maybe it's on Sunday where you shop and then you come back and you make 2 or 3 sauces. You have maybe a bunch of leaves prepped and ready so you can do raw tacos on the fly, some salad greens, maybe a couple of pieces of raw bread or crackers, something that you can easily do as a dip, and get all of that ready so that every day you have foundational food to draw from. A lot of times when people make transition, they go deeper into detox because they're just eating less overall. If I have, say, 4 cups of food today on my vegan diet and tomorrow I only have 2 cups because I didn't plan right, I'm going to be missing something. And whether, so So that's what I'm always reminding people: get ready all your food so that that first week, the second week, you're really well supported with food in your kitchen, and eat a lot of it so that you don't get into a place where you're diminished in any way. And that makes moving through that process of detoxification easier. And then, of course, there's just the lifestyle piece of it. You know, drinking a lot of water, doing some light yoga or stretching can really help move things out of the body faster. When I say better out than in when it comes to those kind of things. So, you know, it's really considering what it's going to mean for your overall lifestyle. For people who are not sure if they want to do 100% raw because they feel like it might be excessive, it really just depends on what your goal is right now in life, you know. So for me, it's been an easy lifestyle to embrace for a number of years because I feel so great when I enjoy raw foods every day. For other people, they may not be in a place where they can do it in a balanced way. So if they focus on having it for breakfast and lunch, like raw before 4, that's a great way to do it. Or having breakfast and dinner raw, and then in the middle of the day having some maybe quinoa and beans or beans and rice or something like that. Now they're still getting balance and they're enjoying a lot of great raw foods. So just really making sure that you set your life up in a sustainable way is important as well.
I love that. I love that. Well, just as a reminder to everyone else watching, if you want to ask your questions, get them in. We have one last prepared question, and I see there is one question in the queue. So if you want to ask your questions, you do that at google.com/+EcoVeganGal. You click on the event link, and then you click on the play button. If you're already watching, there should be a little Q&A section on the side where you can enter in your chat, and we will answer that question. So the last one for you, Jenny, comes from Selena. And I love this one. Have you ever had raw maca powder or taken maca supplements? Mm-hmm. I've read that maca has a lot of benefits and that it is completely safe, but I've also read that it needs to be used with caution. I wanted to preface this because I actually think I had maca from Jenny for the first time. So many things, right? You were just the first time for all these experiences. And I remember loving the taste of it so much because Jenny put it in smoothies. I remember you had this one smoothie that was just incredible. It's one of my favorite things to add to smoothies. And I went out and bought it, and now I always have it in my kitchen. It tastes great in desserts. I love the flavor of maca. It's kind of like a graham cracker, or like maybe you can describe it a little bit more in detail. But I would love to talk more about the benefits of it. It's interesting. I never think about taking it as a supplement. I always think about taking it for flavor, and I know it does have the health benefits, but perhaps you can go a little bit more in depth into why you use it aside from taste.
Yeah, so if people are not familiar with maca root, it's a natural root generally cultivated in Peru. Most brands of maca are going to be taking that root, sun-drying it, and pounding it into kind of a powdery finish. And the powder is what we add to things. We add it to smoothies, we add it to a lot of desserts, and it has sort of a natural malt flavor. If you combine it with cinnamon, it has this really beautiful kind of caramel note to it. So we actually use it as a key ingredient in our caramel sauce at 118. And the great thing about maca root is it's an adaptogen. So the idea of an adaptogen is it's going to give you energy if you need energy, and it's going to relax your nervous system if you need to kind of calm down, right? For most of us, it's going to give us energy because most of us are, you know, really stressed. Our adrenal system is stressed, so it's always looking for something to boost energy. And one of the ways that it does this is it has a full chain of amino acids. So 21 amino acids that help your body break things down. So for a lot of people, adding maca root to their morning smoothie, let's say, will actually help them absorb more of the nutrients in the smoothie. And for a lot of my clients that are looking to stop doing coffee, adding maca root to orange juice in the morning or to their smoothie has actually helped them give up or kick their coffee habit. So it really does work that way. And for that reason, I recommend, if you don't know, don't have it at night. Okay, because it will keep you up if you are looking to rest, and that's not what it's doing for you. But maca root is something that there's two things you really need to know about it. Every brand is a little bit different in terms of potency, okay? So on the back of the package, it's going to say, you know, standard serving size 1 teaspoon, and I've seen it all the way up to 2 tablespoons. So imagine And it's depending on the powder and the grind and everything. So imagine if you do 2 tablespoons of one that's only 1 teaspoon, okay? It's not going to technically hurt your body, but it is going to create some stress. It's something that stimulates your body to do more of what it's supposed to be doing already. But if you have too much of a good thing, it's pushing you kind of over, right? Raw chocolate, we all know that could be the same way. I love raw chocolate, but I have to take breaks from it because I can overdo it. Same thing with maca root. So to enjoy maca safely and effectively, follow whatever it says on the bag in terms of serving size, and make sure you have it with other things. It's not something you want to do mostly just in water. You really do want to combine it generally with a food source. So again, in a smoothie is really great. Even in orange juice is nice. It's fantastic in desserts. The one word of caution, and that's the second thing, is in desserts, you probably don't want to use it if these are desserts designed for your whole family. Because kids, maca root can stress their adrenal system just because they're still growing, and it naturally stimulates hormone production. So for boys and girls that are younger, that can throw their body out of whack for a minute or two, and we don't need to do that. A little bit is probably okay, but it's not something that they would want to supplement every day. But the benefit in that is for men and women going through menopause and going through natural shifts in life, maca root can really help you maintain balance. So for my female clients, let's say between 40 and 50, a lot of them will do maca root as a natural way to stimulate hormone production. So it is something that's beneficial to know about, probably beneficial for every adult cupboard. I'm not going to say what the men say about it, but it does stimulate hormone production for men too. So I think they dub it nature's Viagra in that way. So that'll probably be the quote that makes it on most people's YouTube channels, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that there is something like that out there, and I know a lot of people will talk about the stimulation side of it, for lack of a better way of phrasing it. I don't know if I've ever really experienced like that. Those effects personally, or from people around me. Sometimes I feel like it's more of a placebo effect in that sense, but I guess it does work for some people. I love it from the hormonal balance perspective, and honestly, for me, it's just a taste thing. And I just love it. Like you said, it's so good in orange juice. It's great with anything like bananas, and just having some and putting it in. I love it with chocolate. I mean, sometimes when I make my own raw chocolates, I'll put that in there to enhance the flavor, and it's so good. I love that you use it in your caramel sauces as well, too. That sounds incredible. All right, so we've got a few live questions to jump into. These are some great ones. Okay. So the first one comes from Casey, who said, I can imagine it is easy to become addicted to juicing because of the many health benefits and the convenience of being able to have a meal on the go. But what is a healthy ratio of solid foods to juiced liquid foods? That's a great question.
Yeah. So the first thing that I would say, Casey, is that you don't want to think of juices as a meal to go. When we're juicing and we're removing the fiber from the vitamins, minerals, it's really a vitamin mineral supplement. It's not a meal. To be a meal, it's really got to have the fiber. When we juice fast, right, we're basically fasting and we're adding in vitamin mineral supplements through the juice. So that's how it works when you're doing it as a cleanse protocol. For standard everyday life, we would do juices like a green juice in the morning to help alkalize the body, to shift the body's pH, to add in those important minerals, but we would still have breakfast right along with it or right behind it or even before it possibly, because it's not designed as a meal in a cup. Blending, on the other hand, can be. So if we do a green smoothie, let's say, and in there we put a banana and some mango and 2 leaves of kale and maybe some spirulina, and then we add to it some coconut oil, now we have a meal in a cup. We have vitamins, minerals, we have essential fatty acids, and we have proteins, so we can look at that as a meal in a cup, and actually in a very balanced way. So just depending on how you're using the liquids, whether it's a juice or a smoothie, that's going to be the first differentiation. The second thing is you can do primarily blended foods as an entire lifestyle if you want. And I know people who do that. I actually know some long distance runners and people like that that do. They'll add their supplements into the blended foods, and that's primarily what they do when they're training and actively participating in races. That's a different lifestyle than most of us live, though. So you have to also acknowledge the fact that, you know, your brain wants to chew. You want to have this experience of enjoying beautiful foods around you. And so I generally recommend that people don't do more than 30% of their diet as blended foods unless they're doing it as a healing protocol or they're doing it as part of a training effort, something like that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's a really good perspective on that, and I think it's true that a lot of people can get addicted to juicing, right? Because it tastes so good, and it's like easy, and you know, people do these cleanses and all of that, but I think I love the perspective of looking at it more as a supplement. That's really
neat. You have
neat.
to think that you still have a lot of sugar.
Oh yeah, right, when you're not getting the fiber and all of that.
Right, and that's the part that for a balanced approach to nutrition over a period of time for longevity, you have to really pay attention to that element of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. Moving on to the next one comes from Janelle, who says, I would like to incorporate beets into my juicing due to the health benefits, but I can't get past the taste. Do you have a juice combo that tones down the earthy taste of beets? I'm with Janelle. Sadly, I can often do beets in juice for some reason, but man, like, I've been trying to eat beets. I keep getting them in my CSA box, and like, I'm like repulsed by them right now, and I really wish I wasn't. So I'm curious what you have to say about this too. I like beet chips. I will say, Janelle, doing dehydrated beet chips, those are really good, or even doing them in your oven, those are good. How about you? What do you?
Beets are very good for the liver. Generally, you don't want to juice more than a half a cup of beets at a time, though, because it can really detoxify your liver very quickly. And I always recommend putting beets with either a citrus, which helps cut that flavor. My personal favorite is lime, so I will juice carrots and beets and celery, and then I'll add lime and ginger to it. And that is a really nice combination for me. If it's the earthy note that is sort of sending your mind to a negative place, you might not want to combine it with other root vegetables like carrots, because that's going to bring out that earthiness. So in that case, I would usually do like beets, cucumber, and apple, something like that. So I'm offsetting that earthy flavor with something that's more neutral like the cucumber, and then something a little sweet like the apple. That is another combination that I really enjoy. And usually in that I will add something green as well, just a little spinach. Not a lot, just a little. And then I do have one that it was in my first book, The Art of Raw Living Food, and that's the beet juice combination that we do at 118. And that's a simple combination of celery, beets, spinach, and then we add apple and cucumber and lemon. So that is a really simple blend that also gives you a full range of vitamins, minerals. So it's designed as an everyday vitamin mineral supplement.
Ooh, I like that one. Okay, I'll give it a try. For me, beets kind of taste like you said, earthy. That sometimes it tastes like dirt to me, and it's so frustrating because I want to be able to eat them, but if there's beets in something, I can't finish it right now. Maybe it's just a phase I'm going through. I don't know. It's frustrating though.
Yeah.
Okay, Haley asked, what are your favorite easy salad dressings? Another good question.
Okay, so my favorite simple salad dressing is a mustard base, because you can usually find a stone ground mustard out there that's just the mustard seeds and a little apple cider vinegar. So you would use that, maybe 2 tablespoons of the mustard, and whisk it together with just a little bit of olive oil, you know, kind of enough to coat your salad. You can make it fresh right there, just whisk it together. And then I like mine a little sweet, so I will either add 1 tablespoon of raw agave nectar or sometimes raw honey, which is not vegan, so just depending on, you know, how hard and fast you are with that. A drop of stevia is also nice in there too, but just sweetens it up just a little bit. And I will whisk that and then pour it right over my salad, and I love that combination. Another easy one that I have done for years, I mean, probably one of the first recipes I ever worked with is based around tahini paste.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just start with a cup of water and blend 2 tablespoons of tahini. I
Raw
take
tahini.
Roma tomato, which is about like a half a cup of Roma tomato, throw it in there, 1 clove of garlic, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then whatever herbs, depending on the flavor. So usually I will add 2 tablespoons of Italian dried herbs to that and blend it up, and it tastes almost like a ranch dressing, which I love. Or sometimes I'll put basil in there because I'm trying to do maybe something more basil-like. But that is a great recipe that also saves for 7 days in the refrigerator. So when you are doing sort of your Sunday prep day, let's say, and you're doing a few different sauces, that's an easy one to have in the mix. Another one, if you go to my website, JennyRossLivingFoods.com, we have a video there of a lemon pesto that is really quite popular and easy to make as well.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'll be sure to link to that one below. That sounds really good. I love, and by the way, pesto, not only for salads, but you can make great raw pestos with zucchini.
Mm-hmm.
What else can you use for noodles? Zucchini is one of the main, kelp noodles, that's the other one I
Kelp
was
noodles,
thinking.
yeah, and for people that are transitional, shirataki noodles are also very nice.
Ah, oh, yeah. All right. Okay, well, username Zombie Reader Pianist asked, I'm just wondering what you recommend for those of us that lack a high-quality blender and are unable to make healthy juices nearly as quickly or efficiency as those with high-quality blenders. I assume you also mean juices, and when you're talking about juices, what do you recommend for a raw breakfast instead of juice?
Oh, okay. So instead of a smoothie or juice, one of my standard go-tos for years was honestly just a jar of almond butter and some fresh fruit. Could be bananas. We're just at the end of stone fruit season. Pears are coming into season. And I would take one and dip it in the other, and then dip it in some superfoods and call it a day. You know, it's very inexpensive and it's easy to enjoy, and it's a great way to start the day. You're getting your essential fatty acids in. And what I used to do in my almond butter, and I still do this from time to time, is I would whisk into the almond butter the spirulina and also some raw chocolate. And it is absolutely okay to have chocolate for breakfast on a plant-based.
You mean raw cacao?
Yep, raw cacao. Yeah, so I would just mix that in there and then dip it in the fruit, and that's a great way to get going in the morning. So much better than processed cereals and things like that.
Yeah. Well, you can also make great cereals. One of my favorite raw breakfasts is with buckwheat. So you can make buckwheat granolas or buy buckwheat granolas. It's just like the raw buckwheat with pieces of various dried fruits and a raw sweetener like dates or something. Those are so good because they're crunchy like a cereal, and you can make your own milk like with almonds or hemp milk. So there's so many ways to replace the processed foods. And I also wanted to mention that, you know, you can find juicers that are refurbished and blenders too that are less expensive. You can get them secondhand. You can get them on Craigslist. You can find them on eBay, at garage sales. There are a lot of different ways to get them, but you also don't need the fanciest juicer or blender, even though something like this we've talked about, you get 20% more juice from this, and it's not as high speed. But I would say even if you start off with the less expensive juicer that maybe produces more heat and less juice, it's better than nothing, right? It's a starting point. And lastly, another one of the benefits of certain models like the Green Star that we've been talking about today is that it does so much. You can make your own nut butter, like Jenny just mentioned. So this makes multiple breakfasts, right?
Yeah.
You can have your juice. You can make your nut butter. Same thing with the blender. I think you can make nut butters and blenders too, and high-speed blenders, and smoothies in there. You can even make juices in high-speed blenders and just strain them out. So looking for a product that does multiple things you can get multiple meals out of is a great way to stretch your dollar.
One thing that I used to do a lot before I had a high power blender is I would just take the recipes that I would find online and things like that and have the recipe and do only half of it at a time, and that actually gave me great sauces and things like coconut yogurt. You don't have to have a high power blender for. We do a great avocado yogurt. It's just blended avocado and lemon juice and, you know, usually some coconut water or something like that. That can all be accomplished in a basic blender, a basic, you know, any bar blender that you find at Target or elsewhere. So there are a lot of great entry options. So looking for things like that or having the recipe sometimes will work really nicely as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it's wonderful for people to know that they don't have to go all the way to this. Like this to me would be like for people that are like big juice lovers and they want to like take it to the next level, right? Same thing with the high-speed blender. It took me years of eating vegan and raw and all of that until I got a high-speed blender. And let me tell you, they're both worth it. They're amazing, but they're also an investment. So you have to think about when you're financially ready to spend that money.
Yeah.
And like I said, finding them secondhand, you never know. Like my dad has had his Vitamix blender for like 30 or 40 years. It's from like the 70s, and I've been begging him forever to give it to me, and he won't. But you know, you never know if a family member has one in the garage that they're never using, or just keep asking around. You'll be surprised at how those things can come into your life. But my point with my dad's blender too is it's amazing how long they last. Like you said with your juicer, Jenny. I mean, having them for so long, you know, you're not just getting it to use for a year. That's the problem I would say with buying the less expensive models is that they might not have a warranty or they might break faster. And if you do plan on sticking to this diet long term, why not spend the money and buy one product as opposed to buying multiple products over the years? So it's really a personal choice. All right, we have one more question, and then I should probably let Jenny go to get back to making her food because she's a busy woman making delicious, nutritious food. And the last question is from username Pug and Love, which is very cute. And this is a great way to tie all together. Jenny, what do you think is more nutritious, blending or juicing?
Oh, well, they're just good for different reasons. You know, for me, when I first started changing my diet, again, I know I mentioned already once on the show, I had a lot of issues with digestion. So my body wasn't absorbing things as well as it does now. And so while I was in my process of healing, juicing was really important for me. And it was because of doing those fresh juices that it actually allowed my digestive tract to heal because I could absorb a lot more nutrients with the fiber removed than I could when the product was whole. So for that part of my life, that was very important. At this particular stage of my life, I'm doing so much and my body has healed to an extent where blended foods are generally better for me. Doing a smoothie where I can add in those hemp seeds and I can add in my spirulina and I can blend it all together. That allows me to make sure that I get all my nutritional bases covered while leading a very busy lifestyle. So for me, that has been a saving grace these last few years as we've been opening, you know, other restaurant locations and being very involved, you know, kind of from morning till night and all these different things. So for me, you know, it has changed from one to the other, and I imagine at some point it will go back again. And so just really looking at where you're at and what's going to be supportive of your current lifestyle usually just means going through a checklist of, okay, where am I right now health-wise? What do I need the most? And how am I going to set myself up? I have a lot of clients that do great by doing a green juice every other morning and a green smoothie every morning after that, or they do green smoothies every day while they work during the week, and then they do more of the juicing on the weekends, and it gives their body a little bit of a break. So just depending on your lifestyle, you want to set it up so that you can use the benefits of both where they're most important for you.
Right. That's wonderful. You know, there's so many people that like to argue about which one's better. You know, well, juice doesn't have any fiber, but blending is harder, you know, to digest or more filling, and everybody has all these different things. And I've really found over the years that it's like Jenny said, it's really what works best for you, what your personal preference is. You're still getting all these incredible nutrients from the food, and I think that they can both be in your life. Why not have both? Why choose one or the other?
Right.
You know? I mean, I certainly go through stages where I much prefer juice to smoothies, and vice versa. And it's like, I haven't noticed a difference.
I think if you're on the fence, maybe you're outfitting your kitchen and you say, okay, I don't know what to get first, a juicer or a blender. Unless you're really going through a healing crisis where the juice is really beneficial to you at a higher level, the blender is usually a great place to start because you can do all your sauces and your spreads and your soups and your smoothies. And then if you need to do a juice in there, you can blend the juice and actually strain it and strain the fiber out and still enjoy the juice. So that's a really good place to start, and then add the other pieces of equipment as you go. So just depending, on what the purpose is, again, you can start to outfit your kitchen where it makes the most sense for you.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, we're going to wrap things up today, and I just want to thank Jenny so much for being here. This was meaningful to me on a personal level, and it was amazing to be able to answer so many of these questions today and talk about juicing and blending and raw foods. You actually enlightened me on so many levels too, so thank you, and I hope everybody watching experienced the same thing. I highly, highly recommend, I can't say this enough, that when you come to Southern California, or if you live in Southern California and you haven't been there yet, go to 118 Degrees. How many locations do you have now?
We have 318 Degrees locations, and then a fourth Raw bar inside Wholesome Choice in Laguna Niguel. So we have a lot of great options, and the fun thing about what we do, again, we're just an everyday approach to raw food, and we also offer meal programs. So if you're looking to try this out for a week, or maybe you are in a healing crisis and you want to just be supported with food, we can do that for you. And our programs range from juicing all the way up to food, or in combinations of both. So
is that a meal delivery program? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's actually
pickup.
Yeah, more pickup. We do offer delivery. It can be expensive depending on where you're at, so we really encourage people to pick it up so that you can pay us mostly just for the food and you're not having to worry about that added expense, But we have 1-day programs, 3-day programs, 5-day programs that are, I think, very supportive for trying this out. And also, a lot of our clients say, I do it for a week, Jenny, just to get ideas so that I know what to do the next few weeks. And that's a great way to use the program as well. So you can check all of that out at 118degrees.com and come join us for our class or event. We do a lot of community-driven things, so we'd love to see you and get to know you as well.
Yeah, well, I want to say that the cool thing about your different locations, and they're all in the Orange County area, right? So Costa Mesa, right?
Our first location is in Costa Mesa, and we offer full-service dining there 7 days a week. And then we have our community cafe in Anaheim, which is right near Disneyland Resort, and that's open 6 days a week. We're closed there on Sundays. And then Laguna Niguel as well, 6 days a week. And Laguna Niguel is a fun date night because you can come and eat with us and then go to the movie theater next door. So it's that's been a great way to support the community down there as well.
Well, they're all great for date nights, especially the first location is so beautiful. I've been to that one, and then I think I've been to the cafe in Anaheim, which is kind of near your juice bar, right?
Yes. Yeah, right down the street from Lemon Drop. Lemon Drop Juices is actually inside the Packing House in Anaheim, which is a fun new food venue. We have 26 different food vendors in there, and Lemon Drop Juice is right in the middle. So it's a fun way to be the beacon of health and wellness in the middle of all of that. And then the 118 is right down the street, so we do walking tours. You can come and have juice at one, eat at the other, and it's a really fun way to experience Anaheim.
Now, and your juice bar does more than just juice, though. You have smoothies there as well.
Yeah, we do juices and smoothies. We're adding salads in the month of September. So it's a great, just fresh option. We have a lot of produce coming from local organic farms for that juice concept there. And it's been a lot of fun for me, too, because we're getting in some really fun different products and finding really fun ways to turn them around into a juice or a smoothie. So.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, the packing district building is so cool inside. I wish there were a few more healthy vegan options in there, but you have plenty, so that's so wonderful. And the cafe down the street is phenomenal, so if you're looking for a more casual experience, you can go there, or the other two locations are so nice when you want something a little bit fancier perhaps, and just these gourmet raw dishes. You do such a beautiful job. And if you have no intention on coming to Southern California, she has all these great books, so you can make the food at home, and that way it's accessible to you wherever you live. And I'll link to all of that stuff down below in the description field so you can check it out. And just definitely keep track of her on social media too if you're looking for daily inspiration and you want to like keep on track, get more ideas. Social media is so great for that. And just look up Jenny. I mean, she's got the videos. I'll link to the videos from the juicer and other content that she's had just so you can continue to learn from her. As you've seen today, she's just so knowledgeable and just a really great educator on this healthy lifestyle and healing. So it really is phenomenal to have had you here today, Jenny. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Whitney.
And, I can't wait to come eat your food again soon. I actually want to drive down there right now.
Right, we'll see you soon. We'll keep a table for you.
Yeah, my mouth is watering just thinking about all of your foods. Why don't you mention, as just a final tip, what are the top things that people order from some of your stores, just to get people?
Yeah, so our pesto mushrooms are hands down our most popular starting dish, and then we have a beautiful fried avocado tostada that can also be done taco style, and we roll the avocado is actually more of a flax batter, and they go in the dehydrator, so they get nice and crispy on the outside and stay beautifully soft on the inside. So those are very popular dishes. Our living lasagna is also very popular. We do layers of zucchini with beautiful macadamia nut ricotta and fresh sun-dried tomato marinara on top. And so these are been mainstays on our restaurant's menu for the last 8 years, and really fun to enjoy. And then, of course, you have to have your chocolate cheesecake for dinner. We definitely hit all the different categories, and the food is really fun to share too. So, bring some people down with you, have an experience together. Our servers are dedicated to making sure you really enjoy all the pieces of it. So, we're definitely here to help you understand that healthy food can be fun and delicious, and enjoy a little piece of living lifestyle that you can take home with you.
Yeah, well, you definitely achieved that. And for those of you who are curious what the experience is like, I did a video years ago on this. I interviewed Jenny and showed around the restaurant and the foods that I was eating, so you can check that out. And if you go to my Instagram, I have some pictures from Lemon Drop and the cafes from a few months ago when I went there, so you can check it out. I'll link to that stuff down below. Thank you so much for you being here, Jenny, and to everybody watching, whether recorded version of this or the live version. Thanks for asking the questions. This is such a phenomenal summary of the raw foods and juicing lifestyle, so I'm really happy that we did this. Don't forget to check out the links in the description field below so you can check out Jenny and learn more about everything else that we've talked about today, like the juicer, and you'll find more information at ecovegangal.com. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, tune in every Saturday. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you're the first to know when that happens, and also on social media is where I make the announcements about what will be happening each Saturday. Thank you so much, Jenny, and to everybody watching. Have a phenomenal weekend. And Jenny, I hope to see you soon in person, and everyone else, I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.